Good hilarity and opinion with Jamie, Simon and Hutch. The Newcastle Comparison, live weekly on NUFC Talk Radio, on YouTube and in all your listening platforms. NUFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army.
Back over the last week and ahead to the next week, and maybe looking a little bit further back in time as well when we want to. So I've got Simon here with us tonight. Evening, Mr. Cahill. How are you?
Evening. Very well, thank you. Hope you're well.
Well, you know, it's not been a grand afternoon, has it? And speaking of which, we've got the miserable mag himself. Good evening, Hutch.
How are you?
I'm all right, you know. I mean, it's been a week, hasn't it? There's been appearances transferring once again.
It has been a week, yes.
And you guys didn't go today, but I've just come back from the game with Villa. I'm still fully kitted up, if you can't tell. And I took Chris, the American mag, and his lovely wife Betsy along. Interesting fact, guys, that I haven't shared with you yet. It was the first time Chris, the American mag, has attended a game at St James's Park since Bournemouth last year, which was the last time we lost a home game in the Premier League by more than one goal. So, I don't know, maybe we might want to start something a GoFundMe to keep him away, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Ban him now.
Send him on trips to Las Vegas every time there's a home game or something. Well, actually, I might put myself across as being bad luck if that was going to happen. But yeah, so we've had an all right month, and then this sort of felt quite important. Aston Villa at home, a regular rival, the team that is probably the most like us in the Premier League. What did it look like from where you guys were sitting? Come on, Hutch, you love a good old party, so hit me with it.
What did it look like? It was a weird game because we weren't actually terrible. But they came with a game plan basically to hit us on the break every time we got up the pitch, and it worked. Like, we were being isolated. You know, they controlled the pace of the game without actually controlling the game itself. We had a couple of good chances. Miley was unlucky not to score. Tonali was unlucky not to score in the first couple of minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And in the second half, we really did control it. We just couldn't break them down. And yeah, it's one of those where it's really, really disappointing on the basis that, like, you know, some of the things that we've previously discussed, for instance, the lack of a plan B, the obvious substitutions kind of like came to bear. And that, I think that was the most disappointing thing in the sense that Aston Villa have obviously come with a game plan to play us, and we just played the same way that we usually do. And unfortunately,
do you think we turned up with a game plan to play somebody else? We turned up with a game plan to play Accrington Stanley, or no game plan at all.
We have a way of playing, Jamie. This, you know what I mean. We've discussed this. We have a way of playing, and we basically turned up. And but what was really weird was that, I know we'll go on to it later on, but we actually didn't play like that against PSV. And I actually think the way that we played against PSV would have been a lot better against Aston Villa.
We just looking, two nuts saying let Chris attend Champions League games only. I should put a caveat in there that Chris was there against PSV as well. So maybe he's a cup specialist. But super chats are open if anybody wants to put any levity in there, because I'm fearing the head-on crash of Hutch's in-depth tactical analysis of Wednesday night versus Sunday. I'd like to apologise to everyone because I know it's not quite bedtime yet. Simon, what's your takeaway for the game? We played midweek, but so did they.
Yeah. It was a much better game to watch. I wasn't falling asleep like I was the week before. Like, I think I much better watch from the sofa. I think we went toe to toe with them. Like, I think we didn't play that badly. They scored a superb goal from outside the box, which they've been very good at this season. So they're the highest. They've got the highest number of goals from outside the box this season. We had double the XG, and I know XG is a term that gets Hutch physically excited, but no one else gives a fuck about.
Right. Get off XG. Make your XG point really quickly and get off it, or I'm going to end the broadcast.
I've done it. That was it. It was mostly just to say that Hutch gets physically excited by it rather than actually being interested in it. Wait, I'm still talking. And then
so we out and mute his microphone.
Yeah, it was a good game. It's just like they're on fire at the moment. What are they, like, third in the league? They're doing very, very well, and we're just a mixed bag because we've got so many games and we're hampered by PSR. So I enjoyed it. It was a good it was a good game to watch, but I didn't enjoy the fact that the second goal was a bit awful. Like, if you look at it again, they get a free run. There's 3 players just stood doing nothing. And why is Voltemada in the centre of the box again? Like, he was just stood there watching people run past him. He needs to get away from that area.
I mean, it was like the second last minute or something, and heads
it
down
was
the pitch,
exactly,
like, awful defending. Just let Watkins have a free run.
It was, and we've been chasing it. So I think the difference was I won the strike from them, and I won the save from 2 won the saves from their keeper. And I think that was a problem. If Tonali puts that early chance away, oh man, we're in there. But actually, it was just a frustrating game.
Chris at the game. I said that to Chris at the game. If he puts that away, it's a different game. But when we take the lead, we still let those goals in. It's True. Even worse.
I think it might have been a draw.
When you said about their goals from outside the box, so I don't want to be that XG guy after I just said what I said, but I think they've outperformed their expected goals more than anybody else in the league because they keep caning in shots like that.
Yeah.
So a shot like that isn't an expected goal, is it? It's some dude's got the ball outside the box. And you said, I think, was it you that said, I don't remember us scoring any goals like that.
Yeah.
And I don't remember us. I kind of nicked that from my match report for the mag, which it will be out there for all to read soon. I don't remember us having a close effort like that. I don't remember a keeper having to work like that. I don't remember hitting the bar. I don't remember one whistling 2 foot over the bar and thinking, oh, well, if he just got that a little bit more right, but it was worth a dig. You're going to mention one, aren't you? But, go on.
Just thought of it. Bruno's corner.
Oh, but
that doesn't count.
That's just an absolute...
I knew that would be a nibble. I absolutely knew that would be a nibble, which is why I was smiling to myself before I said it.
What an absolutely pointless remark.
Sorry, I did cut Hutch off as well when he was talking there as well. But go on, Jamie, you finish your point. We'll go back to Hutch.
Well, what I was thinking was, like, they are demonstrating everything that we can't do, because when we get the ball in those positions, they just pass it. They seem to be on an endless sort of run of gradually going forward by going side to side. Gordon doesn't cut inside and have a shot anymore. He put in some awful left-footed crosses today. He just seems to be trying to be an out-and-out left winger, even though he's right-footed. The usual thing that we will do in that position is either someone they'll take it down the flank and they'll end up, if they're lucky, with a corner, but more often than not with a goal kick or an offside, or someone will just have a really poor attempt at a through ball or blast a shot and we'll be getting hit on the counter-attack before you know it. We do not have enough shots at the goal.
Is that because we're now too predictable, though? Because those shots from range used to come from the likes of either Anthony Gordon or Harvey Barnes cutting inside and trying to curl it in either the near post or the far post. And people are just like countering that. They know that that it's coming. They know it's obvious. And then we haven't got anybody who does that from the right.
I wonder if they moneyballed it last year and thought we are more likely to get a goal if you get it to Isak in the box, and they're still in that style of play, because there was a couple of balls went in there couple of decent crosses and things, and Wissa was nowhere near them.
Mm.
But by and large, we just waste possession, and it was a bit grating to see Villa playing so well. But I'll throw this one to you, Hutch, right? What would you say to a theory that they played in the Europa League away on Thursday night? We were at home on Wednesday night. On paper, that should favour us.
Yep.
But they made 6 changes. So, for example, if we are in the Europa League next year and they are in the Champions League, they might look a little bit more leggy, a bit more fatigued. We made 1 change, and that was only because Bruno was injured. And they, like us, have a similar size squad where they can't make wholesale changes for opposition like PSV Eindhoven. Do you think that's fair, or do you think we're just not evolving at the same pace as Aston Villa?
No, I think we're just not evolving at the same pace as Aston Villa. You talk about their squad depth compared to our squad depth. They've got supposedly 4 midfielders injured, and yet they still had a pretty decent midfield. And they also were making substitutions to that midfield, despite the fact that they've got 4 injuries in that midfield. We made 3, was it 2 or 3 substitutions? We obviously started without Bruno. We put Miley in there instead of Bruno. And then later in the game, due to injuries, we had to replace Tonali with Willock towards the end. And we replaced Joe Linton early on with Jacob Ramsey. Now, Jacob Ramsey did quite well. Mm-hmm. Joe Willock has not looked like a decent footballer for 2 years. And yet we are still consistently playing with him. The difference between ourselves and Aston Villa is Aston Villa are taking more risk in the transfer market and therefore are building a better squad than us.
And what would you like to see done for that? How would you attack that? Because the PSR line's coming out again.
Well, you can't talk about Aston Villa and ourselves without talking about PSR, because they are competing in the same way as we are in order to try and break that Big Six monopoly. Now, the way that we've gone about it and the way that they've gone about it are entirely different. They've gone about producing, just listen first of all, thank you. They've gone about producing a better team before they then start increasing their revenue. We've gone about trying to create the revenue before then we create the better team. And just at the present moment in time, it looks as though Aston Villa are going to do it, whereas we might not. I mean,
just on Villa, just before we move off this, we completely changed our backroom staff twice in the past 2 years or something like that. I don't know about Villa if they've had the same changes, but I don't think that's helped transfer policy. I don't think that's helped us do the same kind of things that Villa have been doing in the transfer market, and they've had a couple of big sales. I mean, we've obviously had a big sale as well, so I don't know what the difference is.
By backroom staff, do you mean obviously the chief executive and the sporting director? Yeah.
Yeah,
I met him the other night. I met the chief exec on Friday night, and he's an impressive fella, I have to say. And
did he buy you a drink or lend you a $5? Or
no, he didn't do any of those things. But I've got his card.
Don't like him.
Follow up. I just want to quickly jump into this because Kenny's made a very good point. Change it. NUFC news. We played Leeds 3 weeks ago, and you cannot argue with that, can you? That Leeds game, that's the banner at the bottom, which we don't control. It's still giving team news for the Leeds United match. So, if you can get a hold of whoever's putting that, just let's have a bet with them on United to win 4-3.
Is that because Chris has been on his jollies? Is that why that's happened?
Well, someone's not doing the job properly. Some lazy article isn't on it. But anyway, yeah, Aston Villa. So it seems to be a little bit like we qualified for the Champions League last year and won a trophy, which they haven't. Let's be honest. They qualified the year before and we were a little way off the pace. We qualified the year before that. I wonder if we just have to take it in turns until the whole PSR thing levels out. And there's a couple of comments as well, I think a lot of people are saying, is Emery a better manager? The thing I'd say about Emery is he looked really, really pissed off a couple of weeks ago about PSR. He was talking about it in a post-match, I think when they lost to Everton. And he like dropped heavy hints about how unfair things are and that. Now, there's going to be a managerial merry-go-round this summer. Do you reckon Unai Emery's very vulnerable if you were an Aston Villa fan? Like, if a top club comes in from, I'm not saying Villa aren't a top club because, but you know what I mean, a wealthier club. Or as a Spaniard, what if one of the big Spanish sides comes in for him? Because they change managers. Like, some people change their socks. So what do you think? Do you think he's more of a flight risk?
No, unless Real Madrid came in for him, I don't think so. He's already done Arsenal, and it went really well. Do you know, it didn't even go badly for him. They just didn't take to him, and as a consequence, I think he's probably had his fingers burned. The Villa fans love him, but like I say, if Real Madrid maybe came in, then you've got to think possibly, but that to me would look like a short-term replacement for Real Madrid, whereas they probably are looking more for a project.
Yeah, I don't think he's completely proven himself. Like, obviously he's done well previously in his history, but I don't think there's going to be a big merry-go-round of managers in the summer. So it depends what opportunities are out there and how Villa end up, but not right now. I think if he finishes third and qualifies for the Champions League, maybe.
I think with that, I think that the advantage that Emery has over say Howe is that he's got previous experience in European competition and league competition before he went to Aston Villa. Eddie Howe's kind of learning on the job when it comes to playing European football and league football at the same time and managing all those different competitions. Whereas it's already in Emery's locker on how to do it. And he's shown how to do it here.
Listen, lads, what I'm going to do here, and I apologise for this, I'm going to mess with the format a little bit because we've got this stuff here whereby we intended on looking at the Deloitte Football League that got released this week. So it's kind of coming up already in the comments. Simon, I need that picture again because it's completely dropped out. But while I'm doing the intro, thank you. It's kind of coming up in the comments a bit that somebody said, is there not, where is it now? Is there not a risk that Villa could be kicked out of Europe? And I think that's going back to what you said, Hutch, about they've spent money up front thinking, the Champions League will pay for this or we'll have to make a sale to pay for this, or several sales. And if something goes wrong and they end up 7th, they could be in a lot of trouble. And this is the sort of thing, if that doesn't all equalise it, if they don't make that sale late in June, they might have been kicked out of Europe. Now, obviously that hasn't happened this year, they're in the Europa League, but I wonder if they're up against that yet again as we come towards the end of this season. But give everybody a bit of colour of what we're talking about, this comes out every year, the Deloitte Football Rich List. And I'm sorry, I've cut the top off, but you don't have to be a genius to imagine that that's Real Madrid, Barcelona. And you can see the English clubs in there absolutely filling out the top 10. We've got Liverpool, Man City. Well, I'll say it out loud for anybody who's just listening. So it's how much you make in a year in a table. So this is the total revenue of these clubs. So Liverpool's total revenue is 702 million. Man City are next. They're in 6th place with 697 million. Arsenal, 690. Man United, 666. Oh, figures. Tottenham is at 565 million in ninth place, and Chelsea are 10th with 491. Now, I'm not sure if that counts the money they made in the Club World Cup. I'm pretty sure it won't, because it's the season preceding this. Villa are above us because we've then got Inter Milan, Borussia Dortmund, Atletico Madrid. Villa are 14th with 450 million. Newcastle are down in 17th place with 398 million. Now, I should caveat that difference is potentially because Villa were in the Champions League last year and we weren't. Villa, in fact, got to the quarterfinals or something, which would have been a big financial boost for them. What this ultimately means overall is when you're talking about PSR, and even if we were in Villa's position, which is likely to be flipped this year, we've got 400 million of which we are allowed to use as calculations. You've got 400 million worth of income, and then you're allowed to make a bit of a loss on top of that. The next club up in the Big Six has got an extra 200 million, which is Chelsea, and Liverpool have got an extra, 400 million almost. So we've got to bridge those gaps, us and Villa. And it's been done, as you said, Hutch, by taking chances and by solid management by Emery and by Howe. And there's a conversation there that there's patterns in the way we play, whereby is Howe sort of running out of ideas? Is there no plan B? But both those guys deserve immense credit for even being near those teams. You shouldn't get in the Champions League because people have got twice as much money to spend. And the next one, have you got the other picture there, Simon?
Yeah,
because
please.
the way that officially translates is ultimately its wages. So you've got that much money to spend, and then when you're looking to sign people, this is how much these clubs can pay them. So if you look, Liverpool's wage bill is colossal. We are down there in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got the 8th biggest wage bill. It's like half Liverpool's. We're just above West Ham's. We're below Tottenham and Villa. And this is the reason that people sign for those other clubs, because they've got that much money to chuck at them. I don't believe any story about João Pedro wanting to stay in London, or Benjamin Sesko had a picture of Ryan Giggs on his wall when he was a teenager growing up. They go to those clubs to get a slice of that wage bill, because 9 times out of 10, the player isn't even the guy who makes the decision. It's the agent, and he wants this money. So, what a question then, Simon Hutch, because I've rabbited about that quite a lot. Do you sometimes think we are it's a glass ceiling, and or do you have some ambition that we can somehow equalise all this and challenge for the Premier League?
So I think we should be challenging for the Champions League every season at the moment.
The places, you mean, not not winning the trophy itself?
No, not winning Champions League. For Champions League qualification, the gap between us, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, financially is too big. So I don't. If we do challenge, we'll have to have every player fit every week, on form and ready to go, week in, week out, and that's not going to happen when we're fighting on, as we've seen this season, in 4 competitions. We're just not going to be able to do it with the squad that we've got, and we can't improve that squad we've got unless we can spend as much as the other clubs to compete. So I think we're not having a good season based on our current resources, but we're never going to be able to break that ceiling until something changes. Well, it would be overperforming to break that ceiling with the current PSR setup, I would say.
So do you think Aston Villa are massively overperforming?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've scored more goals
Well,
from outside the box than the other team. And that if you look at them today, like as Jamie said, they've had their injuries, and that they've just got good players playing well at the right time, and have brought in like some good quality as well. And Morgan Rogers is having an outrageous season. So I think they're having the run that we had when we qualified for the Champions League and Almiron was on fire. I think it's one of those seasons. I think Jamie's right. When they get into the Champions League and they're in that week in, week out, and it's more competitive than the European competition they're in at the moment, I think they'll struggle.
Yeah, but they're still having to play those players in those games. So
no, they get a rest. Yeah,
they don't get
because they don't have to play them because they're playing lower quality opposition in the
Europa League. Yeah, they changed their team massively. I think your typical Europa League group stage, you're looking at maybe one tricky-ish home game, one tricky-ish away game, and everybody else is like third tier level, and you should be able to beat them by making wholesale changes.
Yeah.
So it's very different. I think if we get in the Europa League next year, we can have a decent go at winning that without it impacting the Premier League position, as long as we kind of sort out the general direction we're in, which is a bit of a funk.
I still think that Aston Villa's success is down primarily to tactics rather than, as you say, changing of players. Because to be honest, towards the end of that game, they looked more tired than we did, and yet they still managed to hold on.
I've just thrown up Gary's comment here, Gary Covington's comment. This is a really good example, I think. Sesko's wages are 160k per week with a 25% increase. So he's on 200 grand a week if Man U get in the Champions League, which they might because they had a hell of a result today. The only way we catch up on turnover is a new stadium. Totally agree. A new stadium with more corporate space, with more events going on. We all know that's going to take 5 years. And the only other way other than that is to win the league or Champions League. In other words, to grossly overperform. The other difference is if we have a look at the amount of money Man United are pulling in over on an annual basis, and that one that we just flashed up, the Man United were in the Europa League and they finished something like, did they come 16th in the Premier League or something like that? And they were still sort of 9th biggest earning club in the world. If Sesko is terrible, they can just write him off. They can just keep paying those wages. They can afford to let him go to Roma, who will pay 20% of his wages and they pay the rest. They can write off signings like that. They can waste money like that. What we've got in Newcastle is we have had an extraordinary hit rate. Somebody said before, like, is the board not going to, I'll try and find it. Is the board going to feel to back Howe because of his signings? And they think if he's going to go in the summer, there's no point backing him in January, which, is right. But his signings have been outstanding until this summer just gone. The problem is signing a £55 million player like Elanga. If Elanga doesn't hit the ground running, if he doesn't work out, and he looked all right actually today, it's insurmountable for Newcastle. It's a horrible waste of money. Those big six clubs can sign a couple of £55 million players each summer and then sell them the next summer for $50 million, having played 4 or 5 games, and they don't bat an eyelid. That's how much extra money they've got. And that's how the pressure is on us to get it right every time. And when it doesn't, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. So it seems like it seems kind of unsolvable. I think the bottom line is, where Newcastle are now, I would say these are our ambitions. We can compete for the domestic cups, and we've shown we can win them. If we end up in either of the second tier of European competitions, Europa or the Conference League, we should expect to win it, especially the Conference League. Europa League, your biggest threat is the other English club. The Premier League is off the table. And if we ever get in the Champions League, you've got to say the ambition, height of the ambitions, maybe the quarterfinals. And that has got to go down to signings as well. You've got to sign players who can compete at that level and not the players who Liverpool and Man City are in for, and grow them into the players that Liverpool want to give you 130 million for. And until there's a sea change, either the change in rules or a game changer in terms of our money that's coming in, we've maybe just got to realise where we're at. Am I being a wet blanket there? Is that lack of ambition, or is that reality?
No, I think you're right. Like I say, I think we overperformed in the first season under Howe that we qualified for the Champions League, and it was brilliant. And I think there was many articles and friends of mine saying at the time that's going to be the best season you ever have because it outperformed our expectations, and it was brilliant. It was good. It was a great season. Then we had a down season while we were in the Champions League. Then we had the season where we won the Cup and we qualified for the Champions League. I think that's a great bar to set. We're not doing that this season. And I think Kenny's mentioned we've got next in the FA Cup. And we've got a very difficult second leg in the Carabao Cup as well. So we're probably now under our expectations, and let's be honest as well, our expectations have changed in the course of the past 4 years very dramatically, considering the 14 that preceded, or the 12 that preceded them. So look, we're actually in a really good place as a club. We just need to get all the pieces working together. We need a good summer transfer window. We need to get through this season with a bit of positivity as much as possible. And I think if we can have a great transfer window in the summer, then we'll have an expectation meeting season the season after. It's the only difference might be is what the clubs around us do, and Villa seem to be maximising on that at the moment.
Is that word again? If.
Yeah, exactly.
You've at least this summer. You've at least got that full structure in place that you spoke about before, because Mitchell and Eels leaving, and he said the other night, the chief executive, I've forgotten his name. What's it called again? The guy I met.
So good with people, you aren't you? Yeah, absolutely,
people skills are tremendous. Yeah.
Peter Silverstone.
You're having to Google him.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Is it Peter Silverstone, isn't it?
No, that's a commercial director who left last year. You're shit.
Oh. David Hopkinson.
David Hopkinson. Tip me tongue. Yeah. But and now I've got his name. I've forgotten my point.
It was a good point, though. Yeah, absolutely.
It was brilliant. Yeah. But
we're going to have a more stable summer because we've got all the pieces in place. Yeah.
He said that they'd been speaking to him for a year before he took over. So they've laid all that groundwork. So they need to be, something needs to be happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should we?
Can I just before we go, right? Can I throw a spanner in the works?
Oh, please do.
Go on, you spanner.
Right.
Come on, throw yourself in the works.
So you just asked, about whether our season, right? And we've just had this conversation about basically us and Villa being relatively level playing field. Yeah.
Yes.
Aston Villa are only currently 4 points behind Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not impossible that they could win the Premier League.
I don't think they will.
I don't think they will either. But
I think
looking at where we are and looking at where they are, if they were to win it, does it kind of put a kibosh on the idea of the softly, safely approach that we've taken?
Well,
Because
you'd hope it rattles them.
Villa aren't going to win. Villa aren't going to win the league.
Mate, people said that at this time. People said that about Leicester when they won it.
Yeah, Villa aren't going to win the league.
No, I don't think so. Like Leicester were 7 or 8 points clear at this point.
All it took for Leicester was for the teams in the Big Six to have an absolute shitter, which I've got to be honest, for the last 2 seasons, everyone in the Big Six has also had an absolute shitter.
Well,
other than Liverpool last season, and Arsenal look to be having, another great season, and yet they're starting to stall.
Chokosaurus, yeah, absolutely. Their Man City just keep having "we don't want it" type moments. They just keep going off the boil. So yeah, I know what you mean, but nah, no, not for me. I don't want that. Nobody wants Villa to win the league. Nobody.
No, I'd be insanely jealous and annoyed.
It would be horrible. Yeah,
I think
they could do a league and cup double.
I'd maybe even prefer Arsenal to win it. And that's saying something for me.
Yeah.
But
I don't want them to win. No, I'm just pointing out that it's not impossible that they can.
Oh yeah, it's a valid point. And I think, like we've said before, there's so many teams having a crappy season. It's there for someone to take advantage of. And Newcastle have chosen this year to have their most chaotic, messy season. I'd say probably at this point, it's probably is going to be a worse league season than 23-24 when we ended up 7th. I think this year is going to be worse overall, even if the final league position doesn't look as bad. I think performances and standards have dropped.
Yeah, fuck you very much, Liverpool. Fuck you very much.
But
let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah,
never.
Anyway, shall we move on a little bit from Villa, because that's it.
Go on.
That one's lost. We will have to swing back round them for the FA Cup in, I want to say 3 weeks, but 4 weeks. But we'll see. There's a lot going to happen between now and then anyway, and potentially a lot of it not good. But
just fast forwarding to a night in Paris next week for us. And something not being good. Probably the night where the match isn't on and we're just left to our own devices. But anyway.
Yeah. So we played PSV on Wednesday. We won 3-0. Let's talk about Paris.
Yeah, well, I think we need to touch on PSV a little bit more, because you were saying it was a completely different performance than what we gave against Villa. So what do you mean by that?
Well, so he kind of he set them up slightly differently. We obviously had a lot more energy against PSV and we pressed them from the start. We didn't just press them. We pressed them at the top of the pitch, but then we also held Tonali and the defenders further back. So when they because we were pressing them, they were then launching the ball forward to try and get to their attackers to hit us on the counter-attack, because they weren't able to build up naturally from the back in a passing manoeuvre. Because we kept the defenders back, we were then able to put pressure on their attackers and basically take control of those second balls and constantly apply pressure on PSV. And it really told. I mean, we scored our first 2 goals from mistakes from them.
Yep.
And we never looked in danger at all. And this is why I'm saying, if we'd played like that against Villa, I know it would have been hard. But the balls that they were basically lobbing over our defence towards Hopkins and Watkins?
The detective agency, Hopkins and Watkins. It's an ITV 2 series that's coming out in the spring. Yeah. Sorry, Karen.
So if we played like that, we would have been able to control the game in a better way without the shitty passing, like left or right passing.
Yeah.
But
those were exactly my notes on PSV as well. I just wrote the press was back, Joelinton was back, Anthony Gordon was back.
Yeah.
And compare that to Villa, they all left. They all effed off again, and that was it. So yeah, PSV was such a good game.
Are they trying, do you think, to hold that back and unleash it on what games they deem are very important, because that win's
Oh,
got
yeah.
us through in the Champions League. So is it like, right, you can play like that tonight, but you need to be 70% energy against Aston Villa? Is that what's happened there?
And this is where, like, I think Howe's been trying to make this point with everybody as well, right? So, like, everybody goes on, we don't change the tactics, we don't change the system. Howe does change the tactics. He does change the system. He just changes it in a structure that all the players are familiar with, and they give the players different instructions for different games, which is changing tactics. So I don't kind of agree with the tactics are the problem. It's just how they are, what instructions they're giving people within the formation.
Yeah.
Obviously
Changing
the
tactics doesn't just mean changing formation. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So the thing is with Villa today as well, they're a completely different team to PSV. Like, it was a completely different. They're a much better team than the PSV that turned up to St James's Park on Wednesday, and it was a far more. I thought it was more end to end, although we had actually more control than Villa did of the game today. PSV was great, but I just don't think they're used to a team playing like that against them,
Well,
and I think that we took full advantage. Villa were just set up differently.
Yeah, but at the same time though, Villa came here with that kind of like that tactic where they're basically just gonna lob it down the pitch and then press people forward and hit us on quick attacks.
I mean,
You ask why?
you're being harsh there. You're making Villa sound like a bit of a long ball team, and
I'm not. I'm not. There's a massive
lob it down the
difference.
pitch.
There is a massive difference between long ball Sam Allardyce and the direct football today that they played. You asked why they scored so many goals, right, from outside the box. They were able to do that because they were able to create the space by playing it quickly and playing it direct.
I thought it was have a go, Shaggy.
By the time that we actually are in a position to have a shot on goal from outside the box, there's 11 men between the person who's looking to shoot.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there, because there was one point like they had an attack and like they looked like it was like 2-on-2 and it looked like a chance, and I think Watkins played a ball short, but Lewis Hall cut it off really well. Then we went on the counter attack, and by the time we were up that end, it looked like they had their entire team back, and it looked like they were a bit more defensively minded. But yeah, like they weren't PSV. The one team that I do remember cutting us to bits with those counter attacks was Leverkusen. Like, do you remember, like, in that game, they were drilling the ball as soon as they won the ball back at the edge of their box. They drilled it to two players that were just running at one or two of our defenders. Like, Chow almost got sent off. Like, that seems to be one of our Achilles' heels. But yeah, two completely different games. But I really enjoyed Wednesday night and a grand night out, having a pint as well. So yeah, it's far more fun when we win.
I think that's it. It's kind of like part of the structure of the season, isn't it? Because you're right, we'll get to Paris in a bit, but we go there really. We go into that game, and the worst thing that can happen is we have an extra game in the Champions League knockout, and it's going to be a game where we should be at home in the second leg, and it should be against an opponent that we can beat in a similar way that we've taken PSV apart at St James, as we have Benfica, as we have Bilbao. It should be heavily favoured for us, and we'll still be in that, and we'll be heavy favoured to get to the last 16, where things will get tricky. The best case scenario in Paris is, and I think we'll need to win, is we get straight through to that last 16 and get a home advantage in the second leg. So, that PSV set things up quite nicely. It was a good night, but I agree with sorry, what was that?
I was just going to say, just in terms of best and worst case scenarios in Paris, have you seen the film Taken?
Yeah,
because there are worst case scenarios of us going to Paris.
Okay, yeah. So I didn't mean the worst case scenarios full stop, like for anybody venturing to Paris. Like you might get kidnapped by some Albanians. I think that would be things taking a bit of a turn for the worse.
Yeah.
But
It's all relative.
I
Say that
don't
again.
think any of us are young enough or pretty enough to be kidnapped by Albanians.
How dare you?
Yourself.
Yeah, how very dare you? Look, Liam Neeson might come and rescue at least. I'd like to think he'd make an effort. He'd make some phone calls, I think, at least. I think that he'd go that far.
Well, we can make some phone calls unless someone lifts our phones off us in the metro. But I think just the last bit on PSV, and we'll kind of move on to it. Battleblog says PSV were just poor. I did think they were poor because we were talking last week. Absolutely storming the Dutch league, which I said is bobbins, and sort of instantly regretted in the back of my head in case that got us beat. Beat Liverpool 4-1 at Anfield. Liverpool's having some off days. And we were saying, you weren't here last week, Coach. PSV, before Wednesday night, hadn't lost an away game in any competition in 11 months. And then they came here and did that. And and they had, because goal number 1, the guy let Wissa dispossess him. Goal number 2, he just gave it to Joe Linton, didn't he? Was it Joe Linton he passed it to? And I can't remember what happened for
Harvey Barnes.
The header, wasn't it? He did a really poor back header and Barnes was onto it. So they, that just doesn't happen in the Premier League, does it? Where someone just gifts you goals like that. So they were good. But we haven't got to speak too badly about anybody we've played, because what I would say is all of the teams we've played, with the exception of Barcelona, who are obviously a bit higher up, and Paris, who we haven't played just yet, they are all contenders for the lower placed playoff slots. And now, I've done some sums. The lowest position Newcastle can feasibly finish in, and by feasibly, I mean you're talking about teams like Karabakh going to Man City and overturning a 12-goal deficit that they've got in Newcastle. So that's not going to happen. But the lowest position we can feasibly finish is 15th. Right, so we will have home advantage in the second leg. And Simon, I shared with everybody before a little bit of a link, and I was hoping you would get that in the comments, whereby if you're feeling like it, you can follow this link to the UEFA website. If you then plug in all of your predictions for next week's Champions League games, which all happen at the same time next Wednesday night, it will give you the final table, and it will give you the brackets for how the playoffs work. Now, I'm about to have a go at explaining how the playoffs work, so strap in.
I can't share URLs in the chat. I can't add comments in, but I can read out the URL and people can Google it. But it's UEFA Champions League /simulator. It's got all the Champions League branding on it.
I think, you know what, I've taught you to do that, and I think I can actually do it.
Unless I share my screen. I've put it on my screen there, Jamie, if you want to share that.
Modern technology.
Oh, shit.
You can share it.
So you've got the actual visual there. So is this your prediction? Is it? I can't really see what's happening there, but I was wanting to put it there so people could perhaps play it for themselves. But do you want to talk us through your prediction while I try and do that?
Oh lordy, yeah, can do. So I won't go through every single fixture, but essentially what you do is you add in all the scores, and it comes out with an and a group stage. So the end of the league phase will look something like this. So I've put us down as losing 2-0 to Paris. Sorry, everybody, for the negativity there.
Negative.
Yeah, I know, but it low expectations mean high reward if they're not met. So yeah, and that leaves us in 14th. So we'll then play someone in the unseeded knockoff places. So that takes us through to the bracket view.
I've got the link in the chat finally.
Go for it.
So there it is. So if anybody wants to try, they can. But as you've said there, it does put us. It puts us in a position whereby we're into a bracket for the playoff. But if you zoom in, it'll be an either or. So there is actually a draw. There's a draw on Friday. So where have you got Newcastle there? Can you find us, please? And can you
We're
find
14th.
it there? All right, okay. So that's us or Atalanta. So if Atalanta were 13th and we were 14th, we go in a very, very small draw. Who are the teams above us? Is that Qarabag and Club
Qarabag
Brugge?
and Bruges, yeah.
So they will draw us and Atlanta against Qarabag and Bruges, and it's a random draw. So we could either get Qarabag or Bruges. So the message I'd say, if anyone's thinking of booking a trip for the second leg, you've got to wait till Friday because it could be one of two teams. I was trying to figure out what the hell UEFA are doing with this, what the point in all this is. And it was pointed out quite eloquently. Now, the reason I think it is, and I've got to give credit to Chris Waff of The Athletic who said this, which kind of cut me off when I was in mid-rant, I have to say. But he said, you might get a situation whereby it's kind of the last 10 minutes of the game, and you know if you don't score another goal, you'll get Qarabag, and teams might sit off a little bit and accept a draw for an easier tie, and that might affect the wider table. And that kind of makes probably more sense than my idea, which was that UEFA was somehow trying to find a way to make money out of it. But we are, as you've said, we are going to Paris. We are flying back from Paris on Friday, and then and only then will we find out who we are going to get. So I did that anyway. So you can see right the way through. So I'll get up on the phone. So my predictions were, if we were to lose, let's assume we don't win in Paris. Well, we'll have to, because if we do win in Paris, we go straight through to the last 16. If we lose, you know what? You must have done it so similar to me, because I've also got Qarabag or Club Brugge. And then in the round of 16, the way I put the table, and I genuinely put it like this: Barcelona or Real Madrid. Now, I'll put it to you, gentlemen, that whatever your personal circumstances, I'm going there. I'm going there, whatever is happening back here. And then in the quarterfinal, it probably doesn't matter, because, for mine, it's down as being Liverpool or PSG. And then I've got other options for a draw, but like it's literally it's so on a knife edge, that Champions League table, that if you put in the results that you're all certain of, it just takes one or two of those results to go a different direction, and your whole table looks completely different. Hutch, what did you put in? Or you were trying, weren't you, to manipulate this table to favour you?
I was.
Do you want to just explain what you were trying to do? You massive idiot.
So in the week that we are playing the away leg, presumably, well, it will definitely be the away leg, I am in Athens. So I was trying to manipulate the table. Do you want me to share mine? See whether we can do that?
If it's easy enough for you to do, yeah.
So I was trying to manipulate it so that we can play Olympiacos. So can you see that?
Okay. Yeah, it just took its time coming through, but...
So in order to do that, I've put a 1-1 draw down with Paris, because if it was 0-0, we would have played someone else. And basically, these are the only results that will allow us and Paris to be seeded against PSV and Olympiacos. Now, I'm pretty sure that because we've already played PSV, it would be almost guaranteed that we would play Olympiacos.
I'm just going to stop you there.
Yeah,
You're wrong.
there are some.
Because,
Really?
because there's absolutely, I thought that as well at one point, but there's absolutely no caveats to the draw for the playoff or any subsequent rounds. You could get an English team or you could get somebody you've already played. And if you have a quick glance at the table now, there's a decent likelihood Newcastle could get somebody we've already played.
Oh my God! Like just that Arsenal result is that's out
What's
there.
he got happening to Arsenal?
Who is it?
Losing
Carry
at
out.
home to
Kyriat
Almighty.
Unfortunately, if Arsenal win that, I can't see Newcastle play Olympiacos.
Well, he might be resting players. Yeah.
Well, he's just lost to Man United, hasn't he? So he's choking everything, man.
You hope. Goodness me.
Almighty though.
This is the stuff of fantasy.
Yeah,
it is actually, a fantasy, though, Simon. It's a results simulator.
It is. Yeah, it is.
But I think if you come in the top two, it means you get home second leg ties all the way at the final. So if Arsenal have that to play for, then they're still going to have half a go against Kyriat Almighty. If it doesn't matter, they might just throw kids out. They might say everyone have a great big rest because we've got another Premier League game to bottle at the weekend. I did see this. I'm not sure quite where it's come from but I think Colton here is sharing Morrissey lyrics in the chat.
That's deep.
What's the point in having empathy when this team are just playing for themselves?
Yeah, I agree.
So that's things to be excited about, and we can sit hopefully in a cafe somewhere and plan any subsequent European trips. But I think this is one of them moments, right, where you've just got to sort of cast the doubt aside and say this is brilliant. Because I've said this before. I remember I was in Paris last summer at Disneyland, and I sat and watched a Champions League draw with my family. And my little boy, who I take to the game, has always had a bit of a Barcelona thing. He had a Barcelona kit he asked for when he was little. I don't know where it came from. And he used to always ask if we were going to play Barcelona some week. And when they came out that draw, that was just an incredible moment. Because I had to tell him at one point, Newcastle will never play Barcelona during the Ashley era because they're always in the Champions League and we can't get into it. And now we're in it for the second time in 3 years. And I don't think we'll be in there next year. And it's kind of on the wind as to when the next time is we'll be in. But we're there now. We're going to one of the world's great cities to see the reigning European champions in a magnificent stadium and them sort of little bucket list games. And we'll all be there next week. So I'm just buzzing for the experience. The fact that we can't go out the Champions League, I think, is a big old bonus. And it's sort of like we've got something to play for, but whatever happens, it's not the end of the world. So are you excited?
Yeah. We're going on an adventure and it's going to be fun.
Yeah. I walked into the pub the other night and I was meeting Mighty Wynn and Chris, and you were with us, Simon, obviously. And I don't know if you were at the bar, but some man I've never met who's been listening to shows walked up to me, and the first thing he said was, "Don't forget your stab vest next week."
Oh, Jesus Christ!
And so obviously knew I was heading to Paris and just giving us a nice friendly warning.
Oh. It's not the vibe we're gonna have, though, are we?
It's because James has said it's a must-win match for both Toon and PSG for the top 8. That's true. Winner gets the top 8. if it's a draw, if you have a look at who the teams below us are playing, it's highly, highly likely that both teams end up in the playoff. So, it should be a bit gung-ho, but I think we are looking at it as just being a must-survive evening, aren't we, really? If we
off the pitch and on the pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got the club sent an email out with advice for staying safe in Paris. And it was like, whatever you do, don't get the metro here. And it's the metro from our hotel to the ground, innit? So we were like, well, this is just specialist. Like,
it didn't have Liam Neeson's mobile number on it either. But, well.
So we're hoping, like, to find somewhere to have a few quiet drinks in the early afternoon and then get towards the action and take the recommended Newcastle United supporters route to the ground. But it's that thing, innit? It's a 9 o'clock kickoff. And so that means it'll all finish at sort of 11 o'clock. And by the time we will be getting held back for at least half an hour in the ground. I wonder if they've got like wine and croissants and stuff while you wait.
If they're just wrapped around rocks that they throw at us, but yeah.
Hutch, can you email Paris Saint-Germain, right, and just ask them, like, where do we go for wine and croissants while we're getting held back after the defeat game? And that's your job. I've got the airline tickets, and and then it's going to be getting on midnight by the time we seek a beer out. But as we're out at Newcastle Airport at 6 o'clock that morning, we'll probably be quite tired by then. And then a couple of days exploring Paris. What are you looking forward to doing in Paris, Hutch?
Eating and drinking.
Yeah, that's pretty much sums it up. Simon, any special adventures you're keen on?
Don't know. Kind of find out when we get there, don't we? Surviving, eating, and drinking, I guess, in that order. Second two are probably replaceable in terms of order, but yeah.
That's, certain age, innit? Some lads will be going down Montmartre at the red light district and all that, but not for us.
No, I don't even know what you're talking about there.
That's the party line on this. We're live on the air.
Absolutely.
Just quickly then, taking all emotion out of it, what's your expectation for the game?
I said a few weeks ago that we would finish in the top 8. So I want to stick with that. And I want to say that we're going to sneak a 1-0 win.
Wow. Okay. Simon?
We're not going to lose 2-0. Yeah, we're going to lose 2-0. We played very well against PSV, but we lost Bruno. We lost today, and we look tired. It's a stretch too far for us. So, yeah, I can't see us beating PSG. And they need it. That's the problem. They need it.
Yeah. I would say if we're down by a couple of goals going into the last half hour, do you just think about conserving energy for other things? Liverpool away when we get back. Our mate Martin was suggesting at one point that, and because we don't get back from Paris till Friday night, that we just, I guess, keep on drinking and go straight to Liverpool. Which is it Saturday? Is it Saturday?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And it's the sort of thing in the summer that seems like a really good idea, but in the winter, it's always in the back of your head to just get home and have a hot drink, isn't it?
Yeah, at our age, yeah. You haven't got Liverpool tickets, have you?
No.
No. And
that would be insane.
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of time off because I've been to 6 home games in the last 3 weeks. And I came in tonight and, my wife had done lovely bolognese for tea and all that in the slow cooker, spot on. And I was like, right, that's it. That's me done with going to all these games after the last few weeks. I'm back home now for 2 days and then I go to Paris. So, following that up with a trip to Liverpool, where I've already been a few weeks ago, would probably not have been good. I don't think this month and these matches have been good for the marriages and relationships of your Newcastle United fans. for a number of reasons. Steve's just said it's at 8:00 Saturday, Liverpool, and can I just say what an absolute shiter of a time of a kick-off that is.
Yeah.
Although I have bought tickets for Man City away next month, not knowing whether it's a 12:30 kick-off in the afternoon or an 8:00 at night kick-off, which is absolutely piss potical. They really love putting the fans first, don't they? So,
They do.
yeah, Liverpool are in a bit of a state, really, aren't they? They haven't won in something like 5 in the league. So,
Hooray!
and if here we come. Oh, you want a losing streak? Can your striker not find the back of the net? Try playing Newcastle.
We're here for you guys.
So, are you writing that one off as well?
Yeah,
Next
I mean,
Saturday night?
I can't see past landing at Newcastle Airport on Friday night at the moment. So that's the target for this week. We'll see what happens Liverpool on Saturday. But yeah, we need to see what happens at PSG first. But yeah, I don't hold much hope.
Yeah, I'm pretty much writing off between. Other than I've just said that I think we might beat PSG. After that, I'm basically writing off between then and the beginning of March.
Do you mean physically, or do you mean just life in general? Or...
Well, recovery in a French hospital probably will take that.
Yeah, I don't think the croissants are good in a French hospital.
You never know. I bet the croissants are better in a French hospital than they are in a British hospital.
Queenie saying, is anyone going to be sober by the Liverpool match? I think we'll probably be in the difficult phase of sobering up. And that will just not feel well. And you know what? We've got to be professional. We've got to get on and do this show again and on the Sunday night. And I think what might be quite interesting, I might take a clip from YouTube of the three of our faces now and the clip of whatever we look like next week and just put them next to each other. You know, kids don't do drugs. Not that we will be, officer. Kids don't do wine and crepes. Yeah. Okay, so we've got relatively low expectations of Anfield then, haven't we? But you never know. The way they are at the moment, I think we could sneak a draw. I haven't even looked at who they are playing, but in the Champions League midweek, but it's probably not as challenging as our game. So, big week ahead then. We probably, I think we've been suitably downbeat about losing to Aston Villa, but overall we're just excited about going on our holidays, aren't we?
Very much so.
Queen is also saying, how about we do the show like we did last weekend, all drunk? We are a little bit drunk for most shows, aren't we, chaps? Well, I actually am today. I've had a few at the game. But I said to Chris, we'll maybe... the game day is going to be quite tight, but we'll maybe see if we can phone into some shows from Paris and give a bit of a boots on the ground report type thing. Simon, what are you doing to your microphone, you dribbling pervert?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay.
Yeah. Why? Where have you stuck it?
Well, you can still hear me.
Right. I think that's about that for this week, isn't it? Unless anyone's got any pertinent call-outs.
For a comparison show, we haven't done any comparisons.
No, we haven't, have we? Well, sometimes it's not essential. We did a comparison between us and Villa money-wise, and we'll kick them through.
Good save. That's a good save there, my friend. Well played.
I actually had a really good one.
Do you want to do it then? Do you want to do it in?
Yeah, I do. Right.
We'll do a quick spin through them. Go on.
I'll do a really, really quick spin through mine. Right. So
1 minute starting now, Hutch.
So basically, this is usually FA Cup 4th round weekend. So what I did is I went back and looked, and couldn't find any games that were particularly interesting. Bearing in mind we're not playing in the FA Cup this weekend.
This is going really well.
So I went to 2008, 2009, where everything went wrong. and we play a behind closed door friendly against Carlisle United. This game is particularly interesting, right? As it's Peter
It's bloody not.
Lovenkrantz's first game for Newcastle United.
Who's?
Peter Lovenkranz.
Oh, he did.
He
Have lovely
hadn't
hands.
even signed. He would sign 3 days later. The team included 3 reservists and 2 trialists, one of whom was Peter Lovenkranz. And it happened on the same day as the fight between Charles Nzogbe and Andy Carroll.
There's a fight between Charles Nzogbe and Andy Carroll.
Yep.
Well, I'm not backing Nzogbe in that one.
No. Right. I'm sure that brings back many memories for lots of people.
Can I go through mine?
Yeah. Have you got a better one than the behind closed doors friendly?
Yeah, I'm taking you back to the 4th round of the FA Cup in 1998.
Right, hang on.
That's my first clue.
Bradford?
Ooh,
Bradford?
no. It was a classic FA Cup 4th round banana skin of a tie.
Oh, Stevenage.
Correct. Notable to me personally because it was Alan Shearer's return from injury after he knocked himself in pre-season against Everton. And he scored in the 3rd minute. But then in what became typical Newcastle style. So this was the first and only full season of Dalglish's managerial career at Newcastle. We were 10th in the league at this point. And obviously this was one of those cue the match of the day intro with Ronnie Radford spanking one into the top corner from miles away because that gets played every time the FA Cup's on and every time Newcastle in the FA Cup. And we nearly cocked it up. Stevenage equalised through with Giuliano Grazioli. Now there's a lower league football player. Later on in the match, obviously we took them back to St James's Park and won through a goal that I'm glad we don't have goal line clearance for it anymore. There was an overhead kick clearance on. I can put the photo up if you want.
Even after the draw, I remember that saying, "Well, we've drawn down there, but we'll annihilate them at our own ground," and that was 2-1.
It was 2-1, correct? Yeah,
and we were absolutely hanging on for it at the end.
Yeah, Dalglish said about the first game in almost Arteta style, the conditions suited them more: the bumpy pitch, the wind, the bouncy ball. Oh, yeah, and that was kind of indicative of the kind of grey patch between Keegan leaving and Bobby Robson arriving before the Robson era. But yeah, an interesting fixture. Yeah, but yeah, FA Cup 4th round, just about got through. And we got through to the final that year as well, only to be annihilated by an absolutely rampant Arsenal.
Well, we probably had to try to defend a 0-0 in the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
Mine is not the 4th round of the FA Cup. I hope that is still admissible because I'll try and get through this for 9 o'clock. But mine is one of the most seismic results in recent history because I'm taking you back to Ellen Road, 2022. I think this is one of the biggest goals in Newcastle's history, full stop. I'm going to ask you, who scored the winner that day?
John Joe Shelby.
Yeah. When John Joe Shelby's free kick got us a 1-0 win that we didn't see coming. We still only had one win that season against Burnley. You wondered if Howe taking over had been a damn squib, would being put out of the FA Cup by Cambridge United at home. And we went there with very little hope. But Shelby scored that free kick. It was a real journeyman team with your Manquillos and Dummets and Kieran Clark's in it. And we held on, won 1-0, won the next week, got out the relegation zone, won the week after that, and never looked back in all the way to the Champions League next year and that trophy last year. So I think without that goal and the kickstart gave us, we might not have signed Bruno, we might not have fully escaped that relegation. I don't know. Who knows? So, and
we wouldn't be able to sign off by saying, "See you in Paris, lads."
Yes. I was there that day, and an angry Yorkshireman threw his chips at a Newcastle fan who was antagonising him after the game. But I can't stress enough, it wasn't me. Right. So we'll sign off there then by saying, see you in Paris, chaps.
Yeah, see you in Paris, lads. Thanks for that. Cheers, everybody on the chat.
Everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye, bye.
Bye now. Oh, I'm nearly there.